Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming back today. I do appreciate you guys coming back today. Well, I think you'll forgive me, and then we'll give you a little bit of breathing space next week as I get fully up to speed on all aspects of the department. But thanks, Ron. Good morning, everybody, and thanks again, as I said, for joining me today. Yesterday, I laid out some of the important steps our government is considering in order to hold bad actor landowners and home builders accountable, to protect the public interest, and reach our goal of at least 1.5 million homes by 2031. I want to first reiterate that goal and the very clear mandate I have from Premier Ford to ensure the province and our municipal partners reach our housing targets. There's a lot of work ahead, but we also have made considerable progress so far. Excuse me. As I said yesterday, the last 2 years we saw the highest level of housing starts in Ontario in over 30 years, and that includes significant number, in fact, the highest number of rental housing starts in the province's history. And now this progress was not an accident. Despite challenging economic conditions, housing starts have risen in the province of Ontario thanks to our government's policies, many of which were recommended by the Housing Affordability Task Force. In fact, as of today, our government has fully implemented 21 of the task force's 74 recommendations and is in the process of implementing many more. But we are obviously not stopping there. As I've said, we need to do more. So the Housing Supply Task Force report recommendations provide an important blueprint on the way forward. But I also want to understand what the pathway looks like towards full implementation. But obviously we can't do this alone. So as we continue to make progress, it's important that we do so working alongside our municipal partners. Next week, our government will write to mayors and heads of council asking for their input on the remaining task force recommendations. Now, as we do, we will continue engaging with Indigenous leaders and other Housing Supply Action Plan and the Housing Supply Action Plan implementation team to get their important input on next steps. The results of these consultations and the housing forum that the province is holding in November will be used to inform our next Housing Supply Action Plan bill, which will be introduced in 2024. Now, this approach carries through on our commitment to have a Housing Supply Action Plan every year of the current mandate and to use the report of the Housing Affordability Task Force as our long-term roadmap. We want to make sure that recommendations are implemented in a manner that supports our efforts to build homes and in a way that works with our municipal partners and for our municipal partners. And we want our partners to be clear where they stand when it comes to implementing or amending the recommendations of the task force. But I can tell you today that there are already a number of recommendations our government is eager to make progress on and is actively considering. This includes increasing density on transit routes to align new home construction with billions of dollars of investments that our government is making to expand transit province-wide. And it includes allowing, as of right, single egress and single staircase constructions so long as there are other safety measures in place. Now, while these recommendations require a bit more time and will benefit from municipal feedback in the coming days, we will immediately adopt the following recommendations. First, to resume reporting on housing data and require consistent municipal reporting as a condition to access programs such as our new $1.2 billion Building Faster Fund. And second, to commit to evaluate the recommendations of the report for the next 3 years with public reporting on progress. Now, with this in mind, my ministry will soon be launching a web page that will lay out the government's progress on the report's recommendations with regular progress updates as we move forward. Once the recommendations I have just outlined are adopted, our government will have fully implemented 23 of the task force recommendations. Now, I don't want anybody to obviously leave here with any doubts. Our government is very proud of the progress that we've made so far in tackling the housing supply crisis, but we are committed to doing more. And as we do, we also need our partners and other levels of government to continue to step up, because not all of the recommendations can obviously be completed or implemented by the province alone. For instance, the task force was clear that we need to eliminate or reduce tax disincentives on housing growth, which is why I'm renewing our call for the federal government to work with us to defer or waive the HST on purpose-built rental housing or else the province will look at options to move forward alone. We also need municipalities to work with us, and we applaud the efforts some municipalities have made to even further the task force recommendations. This ambitious approach is exactly what we want to see, which is why we're encouraging it through the Building Faster Fund. Now, in closing, I want to reiterate that my ministry and our government will keep advocating for the people of Ontario to ensure that we are building the homes across the province of Ontario, and that municipalities have committed, to build. And with that, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take some.
Minister, you keep saying that you're following the task force, your own housing task force recommendations, but one of the key recommendations was that you don't need to open up the Greenbelt to build on it. So are you following them or aren't you following them?
Yeah, there's a number of recommendations in the task force that will help us meet our target of 1.5 million homes. There's 74.
Let's stick to
there
the
are 74.
They're specifically saying there's enough land. 2 other studies support that. You don't need to open up the Greenbelt. Yet yesterday you seem to double down even further and say, yeah, we're going to look at all of the Greenbelt, could open up even more. So why are you doing that when there's enough land elsewhere? Yeah,
as we've said a number of times, the task force report did not at the time contemplate the enormous amount of growth that the province was going to see, not only from outside of the country, but also from other parts of Canada. We're seeing tremendous growth in the province of Ontario, which is a very exciting and encouraging time for the people of this province. We need those 1.5 million homes that are out there. We need those. We need more. We need to ensure that we have a stable growth pattern.
Three different sources that say there is enough land without opening up the
and we will make sure that we build those 1.5 million homes. Cynthia, it is very important to us that we continue to build these 1.5 million homes.
The experts say there's enough land.
Yep.
You guys keep saying we need to build more housing, and you're building on the Greenbelt. You don't answer the actual question. No one ever has. How can all these reports, which say not just 1.5 million, which by the way is a goal that most people think the province can't actually meet, but 2 million homes could be built on the land. Never mind increasing density, which you guys have lessened because you've scrapped density rules. If you actually build more densely, you could easily build these homes without messing with the Greenbelt and causing this fuss that we've been talking about for weeks.
Yeah, look, as I said on a number of occasions, the reports themselves did not anticipate the massive amount of growth that we're having in the province of Ontario. They simply did not anticipate that. We did not anticipate back when the report was issued that we would have the significant amount of immigration that we are having coming to the province of Ontario, which is important to the province of Ontario. Frankly, I'm a child of immigrants. You know, I think of my own parents' journey here. Right, they came in the late 50s, early 1960s. My dad followed his brother to a home on Dentonia Park, 5 of them in one place on Dentonia Park. My dad's journey started with a home, his own first home on Lombardy Crescent in Scarborough. That was his journey. That was the bargain that they made when they left everything behind to come here. They had that opportunity, and our journey started there on Lombardy Crescent as a kid. You know, the thing that you value the most is your home, your bedroom, and you know. We had that opportunity. So many generations now are worried that they're not going to have that opportunity, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can. You know, some people said to me yesterday, the leader of the opposition said to me, in a pleasant way, frankly, you know, I don't know whether to congratulate you or to ask you why you've taken on the challenge. And I can't think of a better challenge for the son of an immigrant to take on, because everything about our legacy started with a home. And when people come to this country, they expect that we will give them all of the help that they need to help to contribute. We don't have that right now, right? We don't have that. The Housing Affordability Task Force did not contemplate the massive amounts of people that are coming here to support us, frankly, in helping meet the goals that we have, the incredible economic prosperity that we have seen come back to the province. So we're going to ensure that we have land, not only that 1.5 million homes are available, but we can't put ourselves in the same position where in future we will have a housing crisis. We can't put restrictive policies in place that will put us in the same situation in the future. And I think if you look at the Housing Affordability Task Force, the recommendations that they have made there help us get us on that way, and that is why we're going to move forward with implementing those recommendations.
Is this government actually not committed at all to a permanent Greenbelt? Is that, I mean,
just the opposite.
Your boss has called it a scam. He says it's right out of communist China or North Korea. Do you agree with those positions?
Well, let me tell you this. Well, let me tell you this. My family was probably one of the first families to put a conservation easement over our own land in Stouffville back in 2004 in favor of the Oak Ridges Moraine Land Trust. So to make that suggestion that we don't care is absolutely completely false. But what we are looking at doing, as I said yesterday, is ensuring that we have land available in areas where we have made significant contributions to infrastructure. As I said yesterday too, look, I have 3 brand new GO train stations in and around Stouffville. 3 massive brand new GO train stations. In and around those GO train stations, there should be high density. There should be housing on those around those GO train stations. The same goes with some of the investments that we're making on a 2-way all-day GO train station out to Bowmanville. We have to build where the resources are. I look in and around Stouffville as well. If I can use my own hometown as an example, hundreds of jobs in our main streets, in our small businesses. The homes that we're building will allow people to get at it right away. We have new schools, new long-term care, new hospitals. We're building where the infrastructure is not only in the ground, but the infrastructure to allow people to contribute right away exists.
The region of Durham says it'll take 25 years to service most of that land. There's no pipes. The roads are not built. There's no GO station in the middle. It's an agricultural preserve, and it's right next to the Rouge National Park. You mentioned how important that was to you when you were in federal politics.
Yep.
The park and the minister now say this plan will ruin the park. It's irreparable damage. So how do you respond to that?
Well, look, the federal minister, of course, still has plans to build a Pearson-sized airport in the area, so I take it with a grain of salt. I'm very familiar with the parameters of the Rouge National Urban Park, as having been somebody who was at the table when that was brought in. And I am also cognizant of the fact, as I said yesterday, that the Liberals at Queen's Park not only did not support the creation of the Rouge National Urban Park, Liberals, Greens, and NDP in Ottawa also voted against the creation of the Rouge National Urban Park. But what this is about is making sure that we have homes in place. Look, I won't be diverted from building 1.5 million. I think we can do both. I think we can protect our natural heritage. I think we can move on the recommendations here in the task force. We're going to be doing that over the next number of weeks. We're going to bring our municipalities on board so that we can meet the targets and some of the suggestions within the implementation task force. But we're going to work together so that we increase, that we meet those recommendation goals, so that we can meet our goal of 1.5 million homes, and we won't be strayed on that. I think we can do both. We can protect our natural heritage while also meeting our targets to ensure that future generations have all the same benefits that I did as a kid and have the same ability to contribute to our province as others have had.
Minister, you and the Premier keep suggesting that the task force's assertion that we don't need more land is out of date due to new population data, but have you actually asked each of the task force members if they stand by that assertion, or are you just assuming that they would change their minds now given the population changes?
Yeah, look, I've read the task force. I've also have had many conversations with some of those who have contributed to the task force. As I said, look. Nobody was talking about 5, 6, 7, 800,000 people coming to the province of Ontario in 2022. This is a massive benefit to the province of Ontario, frankly, a massive benefit to us. It is something that I'm happy with. It's not only people coming from outside of the country here, it is people coming from other parts of Canada to be here and help us contribute to what has been a massive economic success over the last number of years, and to ensure that we can meet our goals, to ensure that we can accommodate those people, we have to ensure that we have homes built. And it's not even that. I get talked to a lot by seniors in my riding. Right? They say they want to downsize, but they have nowhere to downsize to. Right? They can't. There's nowhere else for them to move. They still want to stay within the community, but there's nowhere for them to go. We're seeing more purpose-built housing than ever before. I have one of my first homes that we partnered with the federal government coming in right in Stouffville. So there is a lot happening, but we have to move quicker and we have to do more if we're going to meet these targets of building 1.5 million. That's why the task force recommendations are hugely important. Look, we've made significant progress on it, but I think now we have to really sit down with our municipal counterparts. As I said, we'll be sending out a letter to them. We'll be asking them what parts of this we can move more quickly on and how we can work together to implement the remaining recommendations.
Would you ask the task force to maybe formally revisit that recommendation then, or would you be concerned that they might come back and say, no, we still don't need any more land?
Look, I'm prepared to work with anybody who's going to help me meet my goal of building 1.5 million homes across the province by 2031. That work is never going to stop. That is why we're going to be reaching out very quickly to our municipal partners so that we can implement more of the recommendations of the task force.
Minister, we've all
Sorry,
been
did you?
trying to figure out.
I'll just go here first.
Thank you. I mean, you think these two reports are wrong? You think we need to build on the Greenbelt in order to meet housing targets, just to be clear?
I think the reports highlight the important need to build 1.5 million homes, and I think it also highlights the importance of the government ensuring that we have land available to meet those targets. I am also very cognizant of how many people are coming to this province from all other parts of Canada and all other parts of the world. So, do I think we need to do more? Yes, but do we also need to hold? Do we also need to hold our municipal partners accountable and bring them along as partners? That's why we brought in the Building Faster Fund, right? So that we can not only meet some of the recommendations in the report, but that we can move forward on meeting our goal of 1.5 million homes. Do we need to build on the Greenbelt? Well, we're moving forward with building on the Greenbelt if, as I said yesterday, if after the facilitator has completed her work, if it meets the standards that we'll be setting with respect to the full Greenbelt review, then we will move forward with that. If it doesn't, the land will be returned back to the Greenbelt. Rob?
Minister, we've all been trying to figure out why you're sending these signals that more land could come out of the Greenbelt when you're just taking such a pasting for it in the public. Is it because of the flawed process in which that we've just had the two reports on, the 14 and the 15 properties picked by the former minister's chief of staff? Are you doing this because the government's facing legal action or has been threatened legal action by other developers saying they were unfairly excluded from the last process, so then you've got to turn it into a Wild West?
No, well, actually, Rob, yesterday I did say that it'd go back. There could be more land put into the Greenbelt. What we're doing is speeding up the review that is due to take place in 2025, right? So we're doing the review in 2024 as opposed to 2025. Given all of that has happened over the last little bit of time, we think it would be an appropriate time to begin that review, that legislated review. It's not something I'm making up for the desire to have a Greenbelt to review. It is legislated that we do it. So we will take our time. We will take our time. We will put in place a proper process to ensure, as I said yesterday, full accountability, public participation, and to ensure that it is done in a way that reflects the goals of the Greenbelt plan. It will take our time in doing it, and we'll get it right. But I think now is the right time.
Threats from developers or anything like that? Yes or no?
No, I'm not aware of any of that. I just think the time is right for us to do it, frankly, right? I think we can do it. It's not going to be an easy process. It'll be a long process. I think the last one took about 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. So we will put in place a very fulsome review of the Greenbelt as we are legislated, as we are mandated to do.
All right. I'll
go to one last
Are you
one.
guys doing this on the fly though? Because the Premier announced on Tuesday, he unveiled this review, speeding up the review plan. You talked about it yesterday, and yet, usually for major government policy announcements or policy shifts, excuse me, there's press releases, there's background materials, there's explainers. We've had nothing of that this week.
Yeah. Well, look, Rob, I said yesterday I had asked my deputy to put in place to give me options for the framework for the review that we will be undertaking. Once that work is done, obviously we will make it all public how the review is going to take place. I've also committed to making public the work of the facilitator, the work that is being done on the Greenbelt lands right now. So we will absolutely, positively come back and show exactly how that review is going to take place. As I've highlighted today, we are on the task force recommendations. We're going to be bringing forward a website which will highlight all of the work that we have done on the task force, which will look at the recommendations that are in progress, those that have not been completed. We're reaching out to our municipal partners to get their input, which we will also add to this public consultation. I'll follow that up with the Minister's Housing Forum in November, and then ultimately with another housing supply bill that I will introduce in the spring session. So what I'm trying to do is highlight where we are going over the next number of months, so that people have a full understanding of what it is that we want to accomplish. And I promise you, Rob, that we'll have many more opportunities to get together in this forum so that we can discuss how we're moving forward together. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great day.